Joanna and Jacqueline Pollock were two sisters from Hexham, England. But in May 1957, their lives came to a tragic end when a car struck them on their way to church. Just 1 year later, their mother gave birth to twins who seemed to remember details from the sisters' lives, details they could never have known. Joanna was just 11 years old. Her little sister Jacqueline was only 6. On Sunday, May 5, 1957, the girl set out with a friend to attend church. They never came home. A local woman, reportedly distraught and under the influence of medication, lost control of her car. It swerved onto the pavement, striking the children. Joanna and Jacqueline were killed instantly. The tragedy devastated their parents, John and Florence Pollock. Florence fell into deep grief. John, however, clung to his unusual belief for a Catholic man, the belief in reincarnation. He was certain his daughters would one day return. Just a year later, Florence became pregnant. On October 4, 1958, she gave birth to twin girls, Jillian and Jennifer. John immediately believed these weren't new daughters. To him, they were Joanna and Jacqueline reborn. Jennifer, in particular, had two unusual birthmarks. One was across her forehead, another on her waist. Jacqueline, the younger sister who had died, had carried scars in those exact same places. At first, Florence resisted John's idea. She didn't want her grief shaping the girls' lives. But soon, strange things began happening. From a very young age, the twins began to display behaviors eerily similar to their late sisters. Jillian, the older twin, was responsible and caring, much like Joanna had been. Jennifer was playful, dependent, and more carefree, echoing Jacqueline's nature. But it wasn't just personality. The girls seemed to know things they shouldn't have. After the accident, Florence had packed away Joanna and Jacqueline's belongings, too painful to look at. Years later, when the twins were toddlers, those toys were brought out again. To everyone's shock, Jillian and Jennifer instantly recognized them. They called them by the same names Joanna and Jacqueline had given them. Even stranger, they divided them up perfectly, each child taking the toys that had belonged to her former self. No one had told them. The toys had been hidden, yet the twins knew them. When the family moved back to Hexham, the twins' memories grew even more disturbing. Walking through town, Jillian and Jennifer began pointing out places they claimed to know. They identified the school their sisters had attended. They pointed to a playground and said they had played there before. Most unsettling of all, they pointed to a house and declared, "That's where we used to live." And they were right. It was the home where Joanna and Jacqueline had stayed before the accident. Then came the fear. Whenever a car passed by, the girls panicked. They clung to their mother, screaming, "The car is coming to get us!" They were far too young to know how their sisters had died. Yet their terror mirrored the tragedy exactly. The twins also invented a disturbing game. Jillian would place her hands around Jennifer's neck, pretending to strangle her. Jennifer would then fall to the ground, lying still as if dead. For outsiders, it may have looked like innocent play. But John and Florence knew the truth. Jacqueline, before her death, had suffered a head injury and complained of pain in her neck. Was Jennifer reliving it? By the early 1960s, the story of the Pollock twins reached Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist at the University of Virginia. Stevenson was collecting cases of children who claimed to remember past lives. He traveled to England to investigate, interviewing the family and documenting every detail. He found that Jillian and Jennifer consistently spoke and behaved in ways that matched Joanna and Jacqueline. He noted the birthmarks, the recognition of places, the toys, the fears. For Stevenson, it was one of the strongest cases of reincarnation he had ever seen. Not everyone agreed. Skeptics argue that John Pollock's belief in reincarnation may have influenced the children. Perhaps he had unconsciously passed on these ideas. Others said children are observant, capable of picking up cues without adults realizing it. Maybe they overheard conversations or saw photos. Psychologists pointed out that memory can be tricky. Sometimes, people unintentionally create false memories by combining imagination with reality. Could that explain the twins' strange knowledge? By the time Jillian and Jennifer reached the age of 5, something strange happened. Their memories began to fade. The talk of past lives stopped. The recognition of places disappeared. Their fear of cars eased. By their teenage years, they no longer spoke of Joanna and Jacqueline at all. Stevenson noted this as consistent with other cases he studied. Children often remembered past lives only in their earliest years. Today, the case of the Pollock twins remains one of the most famous stories in reincarnation research. Believers point to the uncanny details, the birthmarks, the toys, the memories of places, the fear of cars, as proof that souls can return. Skeptics see it differently, a mix of grief, suggestion, coincidence, and childhood imagination. But no matter which side you take, the Pollock twins' story continues to fascinate. By the time Jillian and Jennifer Pollock grew older, their strange memories had disappeared. But for a brief period, it seemed as though two young girls were living the lives of sisters who had died before they were even born. The mystery of the Pollock twins remains unsolved.